Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's Sunday Dharma service. We'll begin this morning's service with the chanting of Sutra, Juseige. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Gago. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Gagon chosegan hishimu jodo shigan fu manzok seifu joshogak gao muryoko fui dai seishu Fusai shobingu, seifu joshogak, gashi jobutno, myosho chojippo, kukyo mishomon, seifu joshogak, Ryokujin shonen, joe shubongyo, shigumu jodo, isho tenninshi, jinriki endaiko, fusho musaido, Shoujo sankumyo, kosai shuyakunan, kai ichi egen, meshi komoam, heisoku shoakudo, tsudatzen shumon, kosojo manzok, Iyoro jippo, nichigaten shujuki, tenko onbugen, ishu kai hozo, kose kudokuho, jo dai shuchu, seppo shishiku, Kuyo isai but, gusoku shutoku om, ganne shinjoman, tokui sangai yo, nyobut mugechi, tsudat mi fusho, gangaku erik, Toshi sai shoson, shigan yakoka, daisen okando, koku shotenin, to uchi myoke. Namanda がんにしくどく平等性祭道本母大心往生安那こ。Namanda, Namanda, 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 Namanda. Thank you, everyone. Next, we'll have the reading of the three treasures. The three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma. Now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord, in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Well, good morning again, everyone. Again, welcome to our morning Sunday Dharma family service. This month of February, we traditionally observe what we call the Kisaragi Ki, which is the memorial service to Lady Kujo Takeko, a very important, very famous figure in our Jodo Shinshu tradition. And so this Kisaragi Ki, we normally, traditionally, we combine it with our annual OBWA, Oakland Buddhist Women's Association Memorial Service, which will actually be held following this Dharma family service later on this morning. But I thought for this morning's Dharma family service, I'd just like to share some information and share my message around Lady Takeko Kujo this morning for those of you who may not be attending the OBWA memorial service, which will follow this. And so I just like to share my screen. Hold on one second. Okay. So this morning, I'd like to center my talk around Kisaragi Ki and this message where we remember Lady Takeko Kujo. Lady Kujo was born in 1887 as the youngest child of Kosong Otani, the 21st Monshu or spiritual head of our Jodo Shinshu Hongwanji organization, and also to her mother, Fujiko Matsubara. In researching Lady Kujo, it's interesting to find out that although she was born into a family of stature, the Otani family of the Hongwanji, her father tried to provide her with a life without too many extravagances that we can imagine that somebody born into this kind of family would expect to have. And some of the things to note about her life was the fact that she attended a respectable conservative school where she actually interacted with rich and poor students. And there's a story that at her first Girls' Day observance, traditional observance in Japan, March 3rd, generally, her father made it a point that he wasn't going to buy her a new set of dolls for her first Girls' Day. So this is the kind of lifestyle that her father tried to give her as she was growing up in the Otani family. Well, her father, Monshu Otani Koson, passed away in 1903 at the young age of 54. As such, her older brother Otani Kozui, her older brother, took over as the Monshu, or head of our Hongwanji tradition, and as well became the guardian for his sister Takeko. In 1909, Lady Takeko Kujo married Baron Yoshimasa Kujo, brother of her sister-in-law, Lady Kazuko Kujo, the wife of Otani Kozui. And her life as wife of Baron Kujo took her to Tokyo and later to London, where her husband studied at Cambridge University. In 1904, Lady Kujo founded the Fujinkai, what is known today as the Buddhist Women's Association, together with her sister-in-law, Lady Kazuko Otani. And by doing so, they brought attention to women and their role in leadership in society. Among her accomplishments, in 1920, Lady Takeko Kujo founded the Kyoto Women's College, and at that time also became the head of the Buddhist Women's Association, the Fujinkai, taking over the position held by her sister-in-law, Lady Kazuko Otani. I have a interesting side story as I was preparing this talk and remembering that Lady Kujo founded Kyoto Women's College. Back in 1985, the BCA's Federation of Buddhist Women's Association and the Japan Fujinkai Federation, they created a exchange program for students, young adults, to either travel to Japan or to come to the United States as an exchange program between our Fujinkais. Well, in 1985, I applied for the program, and I was actually selected that year to go and represent the FBWA, the BCA's Fujinkai, to go to Japan. And actually, I was the last male to be selected for this program, because after that, they decided only to have girls go to Japan as part of the program. But anyway, so in 1985, I was selected to go on this program, and I went. When I got to Japan, I met up with two of Hawaii Kyodan, Hawaii district's representatives, two ladies, young ladies, and so the three of us, we traveled around Japan on this exchange program. Well, in Kyoto, one of our visits was to Kyoto Women's College, and at that time, the president of the college was Dr. Kenko Futaba. Some of you may remember Reverend Futaba, who actually served at the Oakland temple many years ago. Reverend Futaba has since passed away, but anyway, Kenko Futaba was our Reverend Futaba's younger brother. Well, anyway, we get to Kyoto Women's College. We're given a tour of the college, and one of our stops was the president's office. So we walked in and we sit down, and they serve tea, and there's a number of people there from Hongwanji officials and the university officials. So we're talking, and it just so happened that the two ladies that I had joined from Hawaii, their fathers were ministers of the Hawaii Kyodan. So Reverend Dr. Futaba, I think if I recall, he knew their fathers because they're ministers and they studied through Ryukoku University and this and that. So they're talking away. After about 10-15 minutes, Dr. Futaba looks over to me, sitting there with them, and he says, "Oh, by the way, who are you?" And so I just had to explain, well, I'm the representative from BCA on this exchange program, and it's just a story that I recall. I won't forget. But maybe he was surprised that there was a male coming from BCA as part of this exchange program. But anyway, it's a good memory. But and so in 1920, after Lady Kujo founded the Kyoto Women's College, it was at this time that she began her social welfare efforts and working in the slums of Tokyo and for the cause of women. In 1923, of course, we know that that's when the great Kanto earthquake hit Tokyo. And so among her accomplishments during her short life, Lady Takeko Kujo is probably best remembered for her charitable work with the people of Tokyo, of the Tokyo area, following the devastation of the great Kanto, the Tokyo area earthquake in 1923. She led efforts to help the seriously injured and especially the orphaned children. And it was at this time that she established what is known today as the Asoka Hospital, which still remains in business today. It just so happened last evening or 2 evenings ago, I was watching NHK and they were talking about the great Kanto earthquake for some reason. But they mentioned that if you know Tokyo, there's a huge, beautiful park, Ueno Park in Tokyo. And during that earthquake, well, following that earthquake, they said that 500,000 people in the Tokyo area had to settle in Ueno Park because there was no other place for them to go. Their buildings were gone, homes were gone. And so they used Ueno Park as the site for them to relocate and to settle as they tried to figure out their lives. Lady Kujo, she wrote this famous book called Muyuge, and where this comes from is, as was custom during the time of the historical Buddha Siddhartha Gautama, his mother, Queen Maya, wished to give birth to her child in her father's castle. And on her journey home, she rested under a lime flower Asoka tree in Lumbini Garden, as we know. And it was here where her son, who later became the Buddha, was born. So in respect for the tree under which the Buddha was born, people began calling it the Asoka tree, or the tree of no sorrow. And so Muyuge, the book by Lady Takeko Kujo, refers to the flower from this tree and means flower without sorrow. Among Lady Takeko Kujo's writings and poetry, for us as Jodo Shinshu followers, probably the piece that she is most famous for is the Gatha Seiya. And the words of this piece were made into a Gatha, which we often sing at our services, as many of you know. Seiya was particularly liked by my mother, so we sang this song at her funeral. Let me just play the song to just remind you of what the melody was. Oops, sorry. Oh. I'm going to show you the words. Hoshi no yozora no utsukushi-sa 誰かは知るや雨の謎盗の瞳輝けば歓喜に和む我が心 I think most of you have heard or recall this beautiful song, but this was written by Lady Takeko Kujo. There's another song, a Gatha, that's common to our Hongwanji tradition, and it's called Raisanka. And in this song, it's a Japanese song, but in this song, the verses are each verse, excuse me, each verse is written by one of the famous historical figures in our Hongwanji tradition, and the last verse is actually written by Lady Takeko Kujo. And so some of you may recall this song as well. Hold on. How sad it is that we do not know the evils of this world. What can we do in front of the eyes of compassion of Amida? Beautiful song by Lady Kujo, beautiful poem by Lady Kujo. If we look back at the life of Lady Kujo, we realize that it was a life guided by wisdom and compassion. Lady Kujo sadly passed away on February 7th, 1928, at the young age of 41, from blood poisoning that she had acquired during her care for the people of the Tokyo area. And her ashes are interred at the Wadabori Mausoleum in Suginami district in Tokyo, which is part of today's Tsukiji, Hongwanji. Although Lady Kujo, if you look at her writing, she rarely refers to Amida or the Pure Land, Ojodo, and other common words or phrases that we often use when we speak about the Nembutsu teaching directly. But we can see and experience the depth of her understanding of Shindan Shonin's teachings through her writings. Granted, she was born into the lineage of Shindan Shonin, but that does not mean an understanding or perception of its teachings necessarily comes naturally or easily. And so it is in this month of Kisaragi, February, the poetic name that is given to the month of February in Japanese tradition, that we remember Lady Takeko Kujo with appreciation and gratitude for bringing the teachings to our lives through her words, her poetry, and the life that she lived. And so if you could just join me in Gassho to the memory of Lady Takeko Kujo. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo. Thank you. Thank you all. And so now I'd like to turn it over to Robert for announcements.
Okay, sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here today at the Buddhist Church of Oakland. And thank you very much, Michael, Sensei, Reverend Michael, for your words on Lady Takeko Kujo. A couple of announcements. First, that here at the Buddhist Church of Oakland, there will be no in-person services through the end of February, which I guess is another week. So we'll be coming out as far as what we're going to be doing over the next month, or short term, or even the long term, but it's hard to say at this point. There'll be separate link provided for today's OBWA members for the Lady Takeko Kujo service and OBWA memorial service that will take place at 11:30 a little later on this morning. Let's see, looking at the Buddhist Church of Oakland items on the website. The first thing, I guess, is the Juseige 31st Annual Crab Feed to Go, which will be held next Sunday, February 27th, between 1 and 4 p.m. At the Juseige offices in Emeryville. I'm sorry. Okay. This is on, once again, this is on the BCO website. Something that just caught my eye this morning is a BCA Junior YBA Summit event, which will take place on April 16th at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And if you look, there's a link right here, down here in this red circle here. You could register here, but this is, I think, of interest to the Junior YBA members to attend this. Turning our attention to the BCA, Buddhist Churches of America website. If you go scroll down, you can see some of the events that are happening. First thing that's happening, which is next Saturday, February 26th, reflections by Dr. David Ryoe Matsumoto on my revered Dharma teachers, speaking about reflecting on Reverend Haruyoshi Kusada, Reverend Takamaro Shigaraki, and Reverend Jitsuen Kakehashi. So that'll take place next Saturday, February 26th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. And you can go ahead and register online for that. Another event that I saw this morning, Saturday, March 26th, will be a Bono Doti sharing session in Obon Forum 2022, which will take place on March 26th, that's next month, from 2 to 2:30 Pacific Daylight Time. Okay. A series of talks for college students and young adults to engage in conversation with Jodo Shinshu Dharma teachers, called Buddhism Beyond Gratitude, has been in progress. We've already had 3 sessions. The 4th session will be Friday, March 4th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. And the presenter will be Reverend Patty Usuki of San Fernando Valley Buddhist Temple. And also you could sign up for that. This last item, this is not happening until April 10th. The Kinara Taiko teaches Ashura. And the Kinara, for those who don't know, the Kinara Taiko group is based out of the Senshin Buddhist Temple down in Los Angeles, and has been just a really strong group throughout the past several years, through the BCA and down in the Los Angeles area, actually probably further wider than that. So they're going to have a webinar, I guess 3 sessions, April 10th, April 17th, and April 24th from 1 to 2 p.m. in the afternoons. So you can sign up for that as well. And I guess the last thing I want to mention is that we, again, thank you very much for coming and attending today's service in the Buddhist Church of Oakland. And your donations are appreciated. And if you'd like to go to our webpage, it's BuddhistChurchofOakland.org, and you can go to the donations page. And there's a number of different ways to donate, whether it be just general donations or even osaisen for today's service. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much for coming, and I hope you have a great day. And I'll send it back to Reverend Michael Sensei.
Thank you, Robert. Again, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. So this will conclude the Dharma family service. Maybe we can close with Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you all. And so I guess goodbye to everybody on YouTube.